One thing I would highly recommend from my experience last semester is that if you intend to do this, send the content to your advisor before you submit. Last semester we had trouble that once students submitted this, if there was any corrections, you couldn't make any changes to it once it was submitted. So I got it, for example, as an advisor to approve. I wanted to change something, but I wasn't allowed to, and the student couldn't change it either. So to recommend for most success, run it by your advisor or TA, make sure it has what it needs to so that it's best chances of successfully getting funded. But this has been huge for us. As always, no personal reimbursements. We have credit cards that you can check out to take to local vendors if you need it. If there's anything you need online, we can purchase that for you. Send out the purchase request form, and we can do that. So we have an Amazon Prime account, so we can get stuff here pretty quickly related to that. So just talk to us. There's never been anything in EPICS that we weren't able to figure out a way to purchase it. Even if it took being pretty creative, we were able to do it. So let us know if you have a challenge. Don't try and figure it all out and then us not being able to reimburse. Part of the issue, as a federal and state funded institution, we are required to get audited. And so we need to be able to provide verification. So some of the rules come about because of that. And so even though I know it's something you purchase from on a regular basis, we're not always able to do that because of our other requirements. So anyway, wanted to pass on that. Okay. We've already taken a look. We had this goal last semester, and I actually think we're getting closer this semester, where we took a look at all the skill sessions we wanted to offer, and we've actually scheduled them all. And the TAs are in the process of putting them in my EPICS right now. So by the end of this week, you should be able to look at the whole semester and see all the skill sessions that we are offering. And so, kind of have intended to, our goal here is to have series or tracks of skill sessions that build on each other so that if you want to really gain more in-depth knowledge about one of these areas, that there's multiple skill sessions to facilitate that. So recommend that you take a look in my EPICS and see what are the upcoming, and actually be really intentional for you and for your teammates on what skill sessions. I know sometimes we get to the end of the semester and you're still needing a credit or something like that, and so you sign up for whichever one happens to be offered. But really this is an opportunity for you to take kind of initiative and actually about your own learning. This is beyond what do I just need to do for the class, but what do I want to, where do I want to be as a professional, and what skills do I want to develop? And so this, there aren't a ton of classes that you get to have kind of the autonomy and more control over your learning as you can here. So take advantage of it. There's some great experiences that you can participate, and some skills that you can develop that are going to be really key for getting internships and work experiences and things like that. So really challenge you to take advantage of this and not go into it with the typical mindset of just, what things do I have to do, to satisfy some lecture requirements. What is it that you want to learn? For most of you, or many of you, if you haven't participated in the leadership workshop and you're going to have a leadership role in EPICS, consider maybe that you might want to participate in that. It is a way to get to explore some leadership principles and how it actually applies to your project and your work. So I know even if you participated in the past, it tends to be something that I think most students find beneficial. So as returning students, who, because of being a returning student, you're likely to be in a leadership role. Encourage you to take advantage of that. Okay. Senior design, we're continuing a pilot of a 1-semester, 3-credit-hour senior design. Just if any of you find that that is something you are needing, let me know. We have actually implemented it in a couple other, at least one other discipline, and have talked about doing it in a couple of situations, especially where they tend to only have senior design 1 semester and they get some students who are off schedule, and so needed to facilitate that. If you're in senior design, I'd like you to participate in a senior design meeting so we can be all on the same page on the process and the expectations. I made them more optional last semester, but that didn't turn out so well. Optional meant nobody showed up, and so and then there were problems as a result. So I'm going to try and do this, and so everybody's on the same page. Okay, so I know most of you are probably registered for the 4:30. I know a few of you are registered for the 5:30. This week is the only week in which we're going to offer the 5:30 lecture. After this week, we'll only have lecture at 4:30. It gets videotaped. It'll get posted on our website, and so those who are registered for the 5:30 or have a conflict with the 4:30 lecture can watch it online. We do this on Monday. Usually by Wednesday, we have the DVD and we get it posted to the website. We're actually using YouTube. We have an EPICS YouTube channel, and it's usually there by Wednesday afternoon. So then you have about usually 10 days to make it up and submit your the makeup request in my EPICS by the due date that is specified on the lecture schedule. So even if it's not important for you, if you guys haven't noticed on this lecture schedule, it's when the video makeup is due, my EPICS will only accept those makeup requests by that date. So if you can, either for yourself or for one of your teammates, if you can let them know about that information. Okay. All right. So, as returning students before the first lecture or lab, if you haven't already, some of you have already had lab, but really it's your responsibility, if you're project manager or just as a returning student, to think about what you need to do in lab to get all the new people oriented to the team and the projects and get everybody going on a successful pathway, okay? The green form that you have, if you haven't already been responsible for developing that agenda, that can guide you on some activities to do to make sure everybody is on the same page. If you can think back to when you were a new student, what were maybe some things you wish you would have known that first week or that first lab that you didn't, that you can do for your team now? Yes?
Which software should we look up before we come to the lab?
Okay. What software? Yep.
Oh, sorry, I had another question about this.
Okay. Go ahead. You're gonna.
Okay, so they collected our old notebooks at the end of last semester. Where should we find those if we want to look at them before?
I just had that conversation with the TAs and told them some of them are in the TA office. I've asked them to take them all out and put them in the lab. So they're probably in your old TA's bin, if I were to guess, and they're going to do that right after lecture, so you can go get them. Huh? Yeah, we'll move it to the shelves, yeah.
If you move teams, do you still need the old notebook?
Probably not.
Okay.
So if you move teams, then probably, unless it's really closely aligned, you probably don't need that notebook. That notebook will stay with the team. and they might need to reference any project information that you have in your notebook. So if you want to get a new physical notebook, you're welcome to do that, or if your team is deciding to do OneNote, you can just create a new OneNote notebook for that. What other questions? What else did you want to learn then? Any other comments about that? Yes?
Well, it's kind of more about like how to structure your notebook, because I know when I first started ethics, I was super confused in high school. I kind of was in this mindset where you just kind of describe everything and write every single thing down. And my very first team professor told me that it was too many words and it just needed to be like more concise. And so I feel like maybe just stressing those notebook things.
Yeah.
Like instead of just kind of saying, oh, here's a website.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yep.
And then I was sort of the opposite. Like I didn't write near enough. I think a good thing to do is sort of write like a mini pigs in your notebook.
Yeah. And so one of the things we often see is people just say, well, we did this, then we did this, then we did this. And that really isn't demonstrating so much. I mean, it's kind of sometimes helpful to know that your team met. But what did your team talk about? What design decisions did you make? What impact will this have maybe on other aspects, the so what? I'll see sometimes questions for your community partner, but not see the answers. So those kinds of things to kind of think about. But it isn't so much of, first we talked about whatever, and then not even explain what results were from those things. So the so what. Actually, if you go back to those reflection questions, what did I learn? How did I learn it? Why is this important, and what will I do differently in the future? If you think about those questions, guiding, it can actually apply to almost anything you're doing in your documentation. So it might even be, why am I going to use this certain approach to the circuit that I'm designing, or why am I choosing this microprocessor, or why am I not doing a certain abandoning a strategy that we had used before. Or it might be what you have thought about as far as what role, what's effective as far as getting things done on the team. So, all right, so you can look at the green leadership handout for that. So I have one real quick question. I want you to think about this for a moment. I do have, let's see. Just watching the time. Okay, I'm going to spend 2 minutes talking about this. What are some other things we can do to both enhance your learning and get more done, provide more service to our community? What are some other things? I think we've implemented some new things to help with that. What else do you think would be helpful? Anything? Yes? Plan?
So you yourself or other people on the team thinking about what you went through last semester and how you can help the new students on the team be up to speed, and also thinking about their experience as new students so you can support them in whatever way they need to be supported.
Yep. So helping to plan and both support the new students. So thinking about what you needed. A plan is always really important with that. Yeah.
If your project is continuous across semesters, having the new students watch the design reviews
Okay.
last semester.
So they can look at the design reviews for last semester. That'd be another way. Yes?
I would say encouraging people to reach out to experts in the area that know more about what you're doing than you do.
Yeah.
We've been doing that in our team for several semesters, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah, so reaching out to experts. So the one thing, even though you guys have responsibility and you are the leaders on this team, it doesn't mean you need to do it all by yourself. So there are experts, resources on campus that can help you. And so your responsibility is to reach out to them, okay? It's not to know everything, absolutely, that's not the case. But, so I think you'll spin your wheels and spend a lot of time on something instead of reaching out or asking your advisor. You will do yourself a ton of good if you actually ask those questions and say, I don't understand this, versus thinking it's something you have to deal with individually for a long time and not reaching out. Because that's when we lose the weeks on the project. And as you know, all of you know, these 15 weeks or 16 weeks go really fast. It seems like you're sitting now and the whole semester is ahead of you and you can get so much done, but it just goes by way too fast. And we need to do a better job delivering projects to our community partner. And how can we keep doing that? So part of it is, I've heard this, you can usually tell by week 4 what teams are going to be successful, because getting a really good start can actually make a huge difference to your project success at the end. So just as an opportunity to talk about emergency procedures, if there's any emergency, call 911. I think if you don't already get the Purdue alert text messages, you would know after this past weekend of all the texts. I was like, what's going on at Purdue? I'm at home. Yeah.
That suspicion packet is actually a box of bunnies.
I know. I was just laughing at the suspicious was actually about. Okay. Sorry, let me just get through this real quick. So if there is, basically if we hear an alarm, sorry, let me just finish. If we hear an alarm in the building, we will evacuate immediately. We will not continue to have class. If there is a siren externally, we will shelter in place. There are 3 different situations that could indicate. We will get more information to know how to act appropriately, because, for example, we won't want to go into the basement if a heavy gas has been released or things like that. So, yeah, we'll have to figure that, but we will not continue to have lab. There's more information in the syllabus to take a look as far as attendance. If anything should happen, we'll use the EPICS website. One thing I wanted to show you, because we're all over, so the location to meet when we are in Armstrong, and which is most of the time that we're there, is between Arms and Push and kind of in that area. If something would happen during one of these lectures, we would go to the same location. So we don't have to figure out, am I here, where do I go, versus I'm in lab, where do I go when I'm in EPICS. Ask that if something happens, everybody goes there, and we can kind of make sure we have everybody. It's a little harder to do in lecture than it would be in lab, but if you go back to your apartment and we end up sending somebody in to the building because we think you're still here, we don't want to do that. So please meet, and then we can dismiss at that point. Just a reminder for the 5:30 lecture, although you guys are good for that. I would say that it's not too late to join EPICS, although many of our teams are pretty full, but still, there's a lot of work to be done in the community. So if you have more people that want to register, have them go see Pam and we can find a team for them. Okay, for your attendance, if you don't know it by now, true for number 1, put your name. You don't have to worry about the section number. There's a TA at the back, somebody in the front. Oh, and we have some buttons. If you want to pick up a button, you can do that.